Hey guys, I'm Nick. Welcome to another episode of the Scran line. Bit of a different one today. Over the last few weeks, I've been working on updating my delicious red velvet cupcake recipe to be even more delicious than it already was. And one of the things I've changed in it was switching from all-purpose flour to cake flour. Now, you may have seen this ingredient pop up in cake, cupcake, and even cookie recipes. You might be wondering, what is cake flour? In short, it's a low-protein flour that's mostly used to make desserts like cakes and cupcakes, and it helps give you a light and airy structure. Before we continue with today's video, if you want to find out more about cake flour, I've written up some great tips and tricks along with suggestions for recipes you can use it for. It's up on my website, thescranline.com. And as usual, if you want to help this video and me, make sure you give it a like. Unlike bread and all-purpose flour, which contain a higher amount of protein, around 16 to 10%, cake flour only contains 7 to 9% protein. You can usually find it in the baking aisle of your supermarket. It's sometimes sold as pastry flour and it costs a lot more than all-purpose flour. Now, if you're like me and you do a lot of baking, you'd have to take out a loan to afford baking with it all the time. That is, unless you make it yourself at home. Now, just a heads up, I've figured out how to use the slow motion function on my camera, so to give me more time to explain things, I went overboard and shot this entire thing in super slow motion for your viewing pleasure. To make cake flour at home, begin by measuring out your flour, all-purpose flour. You want to do that by using a method called spoon and level. Rather than packing the flour into your measuring cup and using it as a scoop, which would give you way more flour in the recipe than is called for, you want to grab a spoon and fill the measuring cup up to the top. Then grab something flat like a spatula or a knife and level it off. This is the correct way to measure most dry ingredients. Pour that into a sieve and sift it into a bowl. Then use a tablespoon measurement to take out 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. You're going to replace that with 2 tablespoons of corn flour, otherwise known as cornstarch. This light and airy ingredient is going to give you that light and airy cake crumb that you've been chasing. Use a whisk to combine these ingredients together. Then pour that into a second bowl and sift another 2 times, 3 times altogether. And voila, you've made homemade cake flour, which is light and airy, easy to make at home, and way cheaper. Again, if you want to grab the recipe, it's over on my website, thescranline.com. I've got a whole bunch of tips and tricks. I do that for all of my recipes now. So if you want to learn more about the recipes you're watching on this channel, and you want to make sure you get the very best results and learn something along the way, go onto the website. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you all on the next episode of the Scran line. And also, I can't wait to share my red velvet cupcake recipe. It is so phenomenal.